Hi there friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt, I'm an economics graduate and accountant, and today I'm going to talk through the 3 key things that I wish I'd known before starting the ACA accounting qualification. To set the scene slightly, in hindsight I started my graduate scheme and signed up for the ACA without really knowing what I was getting myself in for. At the time I was doing my economics degree and I was pretty good at maths and had an interest in business and finance, but I didn't have a huge pull in one direction or another in terms of knowing exactly what I wanted to do after finishing my degree. So I did what I think a lot of people do and initially focused my attentions on the same sort of grad schemes that my friends were looking at. And I knew in the back of my mind that if I could get a Big 4 name on my CV, that would look pretty good and it would allow me to keep my options open until I knew really what I did want to specialise in further down the line. Now this is all well and good, and in hindsight my vague plan turned out to be a success. I'm really pleased with how things worked out, but thinking back I do think if I'd been slightly more deliberate in my decision making and better informed in terms of what to actually expect from the ACA, I could have saved myself loads of hassle and some difficulties along the way. So here goes. These are my 3 key points to make sure you're aware of before jumping into the ACA. Number 1 is the importance of doing an accountancy module, or 2 or 3, at university if you get a chance. Like I said, my degree was economics and we'd have to pick 6 different modules to study in each semester from what was actually a really long list of things to choose from. And not once in my 3 years at uni did I pick the Introduction to Accounting or Accounting for Businesses module that would have stood me in really good stead in terms of what I was going to do next. This was basically because at the time I didn't know what I was going to do next, but it ended up being a pretty big disadvantage going into the first few ACA exams. Because of the speed at which you're put through the first fundamental ACA accounting exam, just called accounting, the fact that you're starting from such a low bar in terms of existing knowledge makes things pretty tough. The actual content in the exam isn't particularly hard, and friends of mine that didn't make this mistake and had 4 or 5 months of prior experience at uni said, yeah, it's about the same as doing an introductory module in accounting at university. But these guys will have had 4 or 5 months learning the basics whilst at uni, and then they can easily apply this knowledge to the exam when the time comes. Whereas if you haven't gone down this route, you turn up on day 1 of your new grad scheme and they say, right, in 2 or 3 weeks you're sitting this exam entirely from scratch. Typically these sort of accounting modules aren't a prerequisite for getting onto grad schemes like this, and a lot of people do come from non-mathsy degree backgrounds, which I think presents an extra layer of difficulty to what we're talking about. But what I would say is if you get the chance either through your degree or in the summer before you start the ACA, is to be that nerd and definitely swat up on the basics of accounting just to take the pressure off yourself slightly in those first couple of weeks in the new job. The second nugget of information that it would have been really helpful to be fully aware of before starting the ACA is the firm's firing policy when it comes to failing any of the exams. The consistent theme throughout this video is that I hadn't done my homework in terms of understanding every aspect of the scheme that I actually applied to, and this is a pretty fundamental one that I missed. I can still vividly remember to this day almost falling off my chair in one of our induction sessions as the partner was running through the different ways in which you can get sacked based on your exam performance, as if everyone was already fully aware, and to be fair, most of them probably were, but I certainly wasn't. I just signed a 12-month rental contract on my new flat. I bought a year-long parking permit. The Wi-Fi was sorted for ages. I just got a new annual golf membership. And then I found out that underperforming in any one exam could bring an end to my Big 4 life before it even started. At Deloitte, there's basically 2 different ways you can end up getting fired for exams. So the pass mark throughout the ACA is 55%, which you might say is pretty low. What are you worried about? And I think that is actually one saving grace, is that pass mark isn't 70-odd%. But if you fail any exam, resit it and fail again, then you're sacked. Or even more extremely, if you bad fail an exam once, then you're sacked as well. Bad failing means getting less than 45%, which granted is a bad result, but it's only 10% less than what would be a pass, so it doesn't leave you loads of wiggle room. Coming off the back of university exams, where each individual one basically feeds into a wider average, and by the time you reach the end of your time at uni, unless something goes wildly wrong, you basically already know where your average is going to end up. The pressure of potentially being sacked from your brand new job can be a pretty tough thing to adapt to. Luckily, I made it through and I'm here to tell the tale, but understanding your specific firm's policy when it comes to this is pretty important, and it's possibly something to weigh up when you're trying to decide between different firms in terms of where to apply to in the first place. Piece of advice number 3 is to be fully prepared for the hecticness of that first 3-month period between the end of September, when your new scheme will start, right through to Christmas. Basically, your life's going to be an absolute whirlwind during this time. In my mind, there are 3 life-changing things that are going to happen to you all at once. You're going to start a new job, you're going to start studying to be a chartered accountant, and you're going to get a brand new social circle, given the closely knit nature of the vast majority of graduates on these sort of schemes. So the trend continues. Again, I was pretty naive in terms of what I was expecting from this initial period. I thought to myself, I'm pretty switched on, I'll just pick it up. But I think that 3-month spell is actually so intense that it's best if you're fully prepared and fully aware of what it's going to be like before you go in. So you can almost turn up with an approach of, right, I'm going to tick this off week by week, 12 weeks, it's going to be tough, but we can do it. Don't worry about making plans with other friends for weekends. Your evenings aren't even going to be free. It's basically going to take over your life for that 12-week stint until things start to calm down in the new year, when the exams tail away and you feel like you're a little bit more experienced when it comes to actually doing the day job. The analogy I'd use is somebody that decides to do a marathon or something like that, and they sign up thinking, I'm pretty fit, I'll do a bit of training, I'll be fine. And I've never done a marathon, so I'm only guessing, but I think that could be possibly a dangerous mindset to go in with. It's a dangerous thing to underestimate. And I certainly think if you underestimate how much stuff is going on, how much stuff there is to do during that first 3-month spell when you're starting the ACA qualification, you're in for a real shock. So they're the 3 things I wish I'd known prior to starting the ACA at Deloitte, and the 3 things that in hindsight I think could have made my life more stress-free and a little bit easier. If you're interested in understanding a little bit more about how difficult a Big 4 grad scheme actually is, more in terms of the work side of things rather than the exams, then please do click the link somewhere up here, and you'll see my video talking through the difficulty spectrum associated with life at the Big 4. Hopefully I'll see you in that one, but that's all from me right here. Have a great rest of the day, stay safe, and bye-bye.